Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to Weekly Manga Recap. I am Nick, here with Chris. It's January the 5th of 2022. And it's time for the first WMR of the new year.
Yeah. How'd you enjoy your holiday season, Nick? Was it good?
It's tiring.
Yeah.
I didn't go anywhere last year, and I went to visit basically the whole family this year, and by the end of it, I was just kind of like, huh. So this is what it's like to be the one who has to drive to all these places instead of bumming a ride with my parents.
Yeah, it's not fun. I found retail was far more brutal than I remembered it, and I only want to call out one moment because there were a lot of moments.
Oh dear!
But there's this one moment that I was like, I really need to share this story because it's very quick. But I was at the store with the store owner, and a guy comes in, and he's just like walks up. I forget what he even asked for. Something that we wouldn't even have. We saw like rock t-shirts, and I think he came in. And he's like, "You guys have any Married with Children shirts or something like that?" Like, no, we don't fucking have that. I don't know why you think we would. Whatever.
What a very specific request.
I don't even think it was like a t-shirt. I think it was something like he's like, "Y'all have fucking soccer balls or some shit like that."
Hey, do you have an Archie and the Archies limited edition lunchbox from 1958?
Sometimes we will randomly have those things, so you know what? He might not be wrong. But the thing he said is he looked the store owner right in the eye and he's like, "Have I been here before?" No, I don't. Like, the only response is like, "I don't know. Have you? What do you mean, have I been here before?"
You would be more qualified to answer that than we would
How
be.
would I know? And then immediately started getting really religious. like he was just like,
"Well, you see, the thing that keeps me knowing where I've been before is Jesus."
Yeah, it was like, "You're a Christian boy, aren't you?" or something like that. And I like the store owner was just so like flabbergasted. He was just like,
"Oh, sure."
Yeah. And afterwards, just like, "Fuck, I should have told him I was the devil." It's just saying what happened.
Well, yeah, and you know, excuse me. They don't have to worry about consequences because then the person's gonna like rush out and be like, "The devil's in there! The devil's somewhere that I've been before, but I'm not sure where it was."
He just forgets he's a goldfish every 5 seconds. He's like, "Have I ever been there before?" I don't know why. I've really just been tickled so much in the notion that he asked if I've ever been there before. Like, I don't know, man. I don't. It was like after such like a long, exhausting day, you've just helped so many fucking people, and like you're dealing with all the like Christmas like holiday rush of people just being kind of annoying, and have that question throws to you, and you're like almost to feel like, I don't know, man. Have you?
This is a first hour of my shift type of question that you need me to ask me if I'm going to answer it effectively.
Yeah.
Like, it'll ruin my entire shift, but if you want an answer, then that's going to be me asking. Oh, man. Yeah. I don't miss interacting with people for work.
Yeah.
Honestly, so. Oh, boy. We have a lot of manga to get to today.
Yeah, we do.
All of the chapters came back for this week, except World Trigger. But that, I mean, I'm kind of used to not seeing. Well, and Boruto, no Boruto this week. Thank God. I need a little bit of a reprieve.
Well, we're never ever gonna have all of them at the same time, right? Because World Trigger, if it comes out on the 3rd, and Boruto comes out on the 20th.
Month, right?
So we'll never get them exactly. Unless there's like a weird month where World Trigger comes out before or I guess after we record, and then maybe there's like 2 weeks where for some reason there wouldn't be a regular episode,
right.
And then we have a regular episode. Yeah, I guess that case. But then we'd have like 6 chapters of Eden Zero to talk about, right?
Pretty much.
You know, he's just working on a fucking video game in his spare time.
What, Hero?
Hero, yeah. Just for shits and giggles, he's making an Eden Zero game in like RPG Maker, I think.
Oh, I do remember seeing that kind of thing. Yeah,
He's
I
living
didn't
his
know
best
he was
life.
just. I didn't know he was just making that himself. I assumed that he like was making assets and someone else was making it for him. But yeah, making a video game, the least time-consuming thing you can do in between your life as a mangaka, which requires you to sleep for 4 hours a day.
He makes one manga. He helps write another, and then in the spare time, for shits and giggles, makes video games. He lives a charmed life. I can tell you that.
Maybe Hiro doesn't understand like humans and the way that people act and stuff, except through like media that other people consume. So like he like most of his female characters are very like fetishy and stuff like that because that is a reflection of like the way that women are portrayed in a lot of mass media, and he thinks that love is putting explosives in each other's orifices and stuff because he's a robot. And so he has no limit to his stamina, but there are certain things that, his humanity imitation software can't perfectly replicate.
What a nerd.
Anyway.
All right. Let's get talking about manga.
My Hero Academia. Chapter number 339, The Story of How We All Became Heroes, Part 2. We get this big old, kind of very, actually, I appreciate the details that are thrown onto Hatsume in this image, like the gadgets on her and stuff like that. Anyway, remember when she fell boobs first into Midoriya twice?
Does she normally wear a plague doctor's mask on her goggles?
I don't believe so.
It looks like she may be. It looks like I'm trying to give it like an angelic appearance. Like she looks like she has maybe like angel wings behind her, strapped to her backpack, or whatever, strapped to her back.
Maybe she was trying to take on just a general bird-like thing.
Maybe. Just curious. I was like, is that a detail I've forgotten?
No, she just wears regular goggles normally. Okay. It might be just her, and we see like she's got the goggles on in the next one, and no beak. So yeah. Anyway, the Ida and Deku approached Hatsume so that they could get some stuff for their broken equipment, and they make jokes about why Hatsume was able to fall into Deku boob first without his danger sense going off. Yes, that's an important detail.
Well, this is lore specific. We might find out. This is how Shigaraki beats him. Is he throws he uses, I assume he has a quirk that it enlarges breasts at this point specifically. Sure. And he activates it and then just smothers Deku's face. And Deku's like, I was so caught off guard. Danger sense doesn't work again. It's not horny sense. It's danger sense.
His danger sense is just like, no, I'm going to hook you up, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you dodge this. So Hatsume brings to the point of like, hey, I mean, like, if you just need your equipment replaced, why don't you just like put in a request to the item agency like you usually do? And you just like, because of, the material shortage, because of, the plague, the war going on outside. And Hatsume goes like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. And Deku is struck by the notion of, oh my God, is she just like completely naive about what the hell is going on in the world? And there's this big, huge reaction panel. And it's a little bit weird now reading it through again because she's not clueless about the state of the world. It's just that she's being Hatsume and she's being weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, after some of the smoke from the explosion clears, hey, look. It's Power Loader. See, I wasn't making him up.
It still kind of feels like you were. It's like, did Nick send a letter in to Horikoshi and get him added to the manga retroactively?
Yep. That's what I did.
So in the year, character, Power Loader.
Yeah, with his ability to have a cool looking helmet.
Yeah, I was going to say power load, I would presume.
So they actually go inside of the R&D section, and there's this big thing that's all about, the barrier that they have set up. And Powerler says, yeah, I'm in charge of the UA barrier and maintenance and everything. So then Hatsume takes a look at Deku's ruined gauntlets in the way that anyone would, which is by limboing while they both walk forward. So, yeah. But they say like, yeah, I got these. These were like prototypes from overseas, so I can't get replacements for them. Could you fix them? And Hatsume's like, well, do you need it quickly? Yes. Then no. And then she proceeds to nope out of there. And specifically, Deku refers to it as walking away at the speed of nope. And she's just like, no, I can't do that. I'm busy with other stuff. Bye. And then Ida's like, well, what about my armor? No, bye. Look, she's a genius. But no, she can't. But also she can.
I was going to say.
Because she does.
But then at the end of it, she does. So this chapter is a lot of like, nope. Actually, yes. But yes.
I think that, honestly, anyone who didn't remember that Hatsume is weird just kind of, I guess, needed to have the entire chapter to tell them she's weird. So.
I would have gone into this chapter like, this mad scientist character seems reasonable and smart. I get it.
Yeah. And we get a lot of that just throughout the chapter.
I guess I should clarify. She is not technically... She's giving them new things later, as opposed to fixing their things. So
right.
She is technically doing something different. But yeah, that the express end purpose, it seems pretty identical.
Right. She is being kind of unnecessarily obtuse.
Yeah.
So she sits down to work, and there's two nameless beings that have hair.
One of them's going to show up in the next veto challenge. I know it.
Can't do it if they don't have a name.
You did it for the one girl from the fucking class above Deku or whatever.
She has a name.
Okay.
Don't remember what it is. So she sits down to work on stuff, and like Deku's like, what are you working on? And she's got like stuff up on a screen, and how, you know, the evac shelter can like take off into different places and stuff. And Powerler says, yeah, she's been working on shit to, you know, keep everyone safe, and is going to potentially save all of our lives with her weird geniusness. And Hatsume says, because Powerler brings up, her zeal and inventive mind put her in a league of her own. And she says, while Deku thinks about talking to Hatsume in the past, I don't know if, I can't recall if she said something profound or something like that. But anyway, he thinks about the last interaction they had. And she says, even a perfect A+ idea could drop to an A- in a flash. When I think of a new baby, I gotta raise it right. That's some wisdom from me. Okay?
Yeah. You can get this and many other quotes at Hatsume's quote book. $700 a book, but you do get 30 quotes, which is pretty good. And
also a jetpack comes with it, which is honestly...
Yeah, honestly, people buy it for the jetpack. There's a lot of books that just get thrown to the ground or like put on a bookshelf and never read, because you're really buying it for the jetpack.
So Deku's like, wow, you're amazing, Hatsume. And Hatsume's like, don't be dense, Midoriya. As dense as high-density polyethylene. Or, to put it another way, don't be as dense as a really dense thing, Midoriya.
Yeah.
Which is basically what she says.
I want to know what happens if this character runs into Best Jeanist. Do they just take turns exchanging their character-related puns over, or not even puns, but character-related forced dialogue quirks over and over again?
Well, what happens is the Best Jeanist falls boobs first into her. So
does he even get affected by it though? Because his face is like 80% jeans. It can't even feel boobs.
Oh no, he falls boob first into her.
Okay, I like this. This is like a switch. This is changes expectations. I like this.
Yeah. So Hatsume says, of course I'm aware of the nasty predicament you heroes are facing out there. Again, contradicting what she said earlier, or what Deku thought earlier. But she says, and you know, we may not be fighters, but just like how you guys try and get everything in order to protect people, we're doing it in our own way. Inventing stuff is how the support course does heroics. And she gets a full page spread to say this, which is like, all right.
Well, this is presumably,
it's a nice picture.
Yeah, I was gonna say presumably the last important thing Hatsumi will probably do in this series. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, she might come up. They did say earlier that she's working on like the jettison evac center block stuff, so maybe she'll play a role if that comes into play.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a little bit weird. There's some moments in where it's like stuff is framed as if it's meant to be like a really big deal, but then the content of the scene is just kind of, yeah, okay. Like inventing stuff is how we here are heroes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's the course you're in. Yeah. Then again, I guess that they have kind of just neglected everything except the hero course when, bigging up everything in UA. Really everything, really just forgetting about everyone except Class 1A, but whatever. So, just Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku. But anyway, Deku starts to say, wow, Hatsume, you're great again, but she throws something in his face and it caves in his entire face. And she's made a new version of his gauntlets. And then she throws a new version of Ida's armor in his face and it caves in his face. And their faces stay caved in for like 2 whole pages after this point.
Yeah, she's destroyed his glasses. Like, they're done for.
Also, something about the, bone fractures and brain damage. But yeah, the glasses.
No, they're superheroes. They can't. They'll pop right back.
Well, that is what happens with Deku. I think that we see it literally happen. So now that their stuff has been replaced, Deku and Ida head back and meet up with the rest of Class 1A and also Mount Lady, who is here.
I'm very impressed. We didn't see her butt at any point, so I feel like that was it's a good improvement. She is a serious character now ever since her fight with Gigantomachia.
I've got no evidence to the contrary.
I was gonna say I meant that, like, I said it as a joke, but then I was like, I guess it's true. She's being a serious character now.
So she kind of just reminds everyone of the situation and says, hey, we've got to make sure that we are following this plan. We're not going to abandon what our original plan was. And there's also the other plan, which we haven't been made privy to just yet, because of course it was not for our ears. Ashido take the hand that we, meaning Deku, offered. And Deku says, yeah, he'll come back to us. And Todoroki agrees because he says he's always had his sights set on the man he wants to be more than any of us. Which, I guess the point is that, Aoyama, kept on going, trying to be a hero, even though he didn't have a quirk originally. And then the quirk that he got was really bad for him, but he kept at it. I get that. But
sure.
I don't know. It's like, okay. So, and they start to move out, but then we cut away to a different place where, look, it's Sun Eater and Nejire, and Nejire's hair is different. So, long time must have passed. That's what happens.
Is it? I thought when she used her
characters get different hair.
I thought when she uses her powers, her hair just curls up like that.
It does curl, but I think it is a lot shorter than it was the last time we saw her.
It might be. I mean, look, if she's not at a beauty pageant, how am I supposed to know Nejire is relevant to a scene? I don't. Sometimes it gets lost.
They, along with Fat Gum and Ryukyu, have just helped out some people. And they say it's hard to believe those dang villains started tossing their weight around out here in the boonies. No, it's not. Villains are everywhere now that heroes are, in hiding. But they're also going to take the civilians they rescued to Shiketsu. And Ryukyu says, fewer people means much less intel, and we're in a tight spot. And Fat Gum says, you know what this means? Gone are the days of slinging sneak attacks and raids at each other. Now it's the opposite. Both sides are pulling out all the stops, gearing up for a true blue all-out war on every front. Which I get the point that they're making, which is like, hey, things are different now. It's going to be an out-in-the-open fight. But the last major battle that we saw seemed a lot like an all-out fight because
In
of everything.
fairness, the last true conflict that we saw between the two of them was All for One setting up an exploding VCR or whatever inside of a mansion.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So maybe they've been doing that for 2 years. So like, all right, look, finally, we're just gonna just fight each other. Some more fucking mansions and fucking explosions. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a chapter.
I like this chapter. I thought it was pretty funny, and I kind of appreciated the levity after, like, in preparation for presumably what is going to be the real shit happening relatively soon. I guess I'm actually now confused about the ending, because in my mind I was reading it as, oh, we're seeing Sun Eater, Fat Gum, and Nejire, because what the fuck's her superhero name? Spiral Lady? Nejire?
I don't know.
Okay. I saw the three of them, and then they talked about, oh, let's talk about the other battle that could decide this. It's like, oh, maybe those characters are going to be involved in a big other battle that we're about to see, like kind of like a side fight before things start.
It's her hero name is Nejire-chan.
Okay.
That's why.
There you go. So yeah, I don't know exactly what the implication of showing them at the end is meant to be. But I did like the chapter. As I said, I thought it was funny. So good stuff.
I mean, it was definitely like a reminder of like, hey, there's a reason that, people like Hatsume. It's that she's, different and does weird, memorable things. Beyond that, getting past that point, there was just a lot of stuff that kind of felt like it was just telling me stuff that I already really figured from, reading the past, I don't know, several months worth of chapters. But hey, maybe now we're going to be getting into stuff really, really happening. So
yeah, we'll see some cool stuff, hopefully. All right, Nick.
Undead Unluck.
Let's talk about Undead Unluck. Number 93, The Song of Spring. So we open with Spring giving sort of like a farewell speech to Fuko, saying, good of you to come. Let us hurry and start our game with each other. You shall be the one tasked with casting a die here. 'Twould sour the game should any cheating aid my play. And Andy from outside says, oh, looks like everything's about to start. All right, guys, let's start drinking. Except the kids, of course. And we get a help.
What a nice, responsible adult.
Yeah, we get a nice little note from Mashin to explain that she's 23 years old, so she could drink. And Andy, as he's slamming his sword into his hand, is just like, "Hey, Rip, how about you? Like Japanese sake, right?" And Rip's just like, "The fuck are you talking about?"
What's going on? What are we doing?
And Andy slashes apart a tree and uses them to make cups out of, basically. And immediately, like, people are just like, what the fuck? Like, mostly Rip is like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not possibly. And Andy's just like, yeah, of course I am. Because these are going to be the last cherry blossoms before spring is out of here. So let's drink and see him out in style. And Rip's like, hey, if Fuko loses, we turn into cherry trees. And Andy says, yeah, that's why she's going to win. Anyway, can you drink? And I just like that Rip's response is, of course I can, you sack of crap. And it really is amusing. Rip really does not really ever get on board with this plan. He really is flabbergasted as things go on. Fuko is... Sorry.
He's literally the only one who's just like, why?
What is happening here? Fuko grabs Spring outside of the body of Spring, carcass of Spring, whatever you'd want to call it, the core, and says, mind if I bring Spring over there? It's too dark in here. And I love Rip's like, you haven't started yet? We're going to turn into cherry trees. And Fuko shows up, and they bring over a bunch of people, and they're like a big line of them, and it's like, here's thanks to the blossoms in full bloom. Cheers. And we see all the characters who are basically of age drinking, except for Rip, who's just watching on. He's like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Also, a note for what's going to happen, because Mu is her name, right? Or isn't She doesn't have the sake cups like everyone does. She's got like a Gara gourd.
Yeah. No,
Instead.
that's not Mui. That's Latla.
Latla.
Because
Yeah.
all of Under's on one side. I think Mui isn't drinking. She might not be old enough.
Or maybe she just doesn't partake.
Well, yeah, Shen's drinking, it looks like. So Spring's like, wait, what are you guys doing? And like, having a viewing party. He's like, yeah, but like, the whole of you are about to turn into cherry trees. It's gonna happen. What do you have to hate? You have to hate Spring. You're turning into this. You have to act quickly and kill me. And Andy just shoves the gourd into Spring's mouth and says, shut the hell up and drink. Spring shouldn't be disrupting the viewing festivities. If you're Spring, you should act like Spring. Just sit back and observe the people viewing the cherry blossoms. Watch them get all drunk and rowdy and marvel at their chucklehead antics with a laugh and a smile. And Latla is apparently a very light drinker because she's already trying to mac on Rip, who's just like,
she did have more than anyone else. So.
That is true. I guess they drank for a while. They drank heavy there.
But yeah, she's trying to get some from
Rip.
Oh god, I forgot this Rip.
Yeah. So everybody starts turning into trees. Andy's like, well, looks like time's up. Chikara laments, why did it start with my head? Because for everybody, Shin is not turning quite yet because she arrived late. So it hasn't actually started to affect her yet. But Andy just says, the party's in full swing now. Let's get to gambling the last game. Round 3, even or odd gambling. And Fuko is about to start casting the dice, but she looks really, really sad. And she starts crying. And Andy leans down to her and says, simply living out your days isn't necessarily what's best. Living toward a good and eventual end is what life's all about. Spring wanted people to love him so much, and now your unluck, your love, can help him die. Send him on his way, Fuko. And we see Spring thinking, kind of lamenting everything. How long must I continue to live this light? Till a day comes when people play and act earnestly with you, till people with taste cross your path. The Shin's last words. And it's happened. Boom. 6-4, even. Fuko called it, has won the game 2-1, and now is Spring's dying. And I guess the way Spring dies is like in the tragic anime fire to the face kind of thing, is slowly fading away. So immediately Spring starts calling out to Shin and saying, I must say I'm sorry, for I'm the one who killed your great ancestor, and I'm sure you detest everything to do with Spring. And Shin says, no, the unbreakable teachings that were acquired in Spring have been passed down over the course of 150 years. I don't know what you and the first spoke of, but our family holds a tradition started by the first. Shin is the name we carry as blacksmiths, but as for the names we carry as people from birth, we add a certain character to them. I am sorry for the late introductions. I am Yamaoka Ishin the 15th. My other name is Haruka Yamaoka, Haruka, the Song of Spring. And Spring starts crying, saying, so I see, I shall end things with one last recital. And we get one last little bit saying, warmth and kindness have ushered in a change in the set of rules that I shall cherish with pride, for I am the spring itself.
This is a beautiful chapter.
Yeah.
This is this works on a lot of different levels. I love that there is the note that, everyone kind of knows that Spring is going to die here, assuming that things work out the way that they want them to. And so Andy tries to have a celebration, to make it, a nice, as happy an occasion as possible. And we get, the little jokes that are thrown in there, like with, Chikara's head turning into a tree, and the stuff with Latla and Rip. And then once it's time to actually do the deed, if you've got Fuko tearing up because she realizes the way of what she's going to have to do. Andy saying what is presumably essentially the entire ethos of the series, and also potentially giving us a preview of what the end of the manga might be, because I get the impression that the reason why he says this is because this is what he's known for a long time. It's that's what he wants to have happen. Is he just, when he dies, he wants it to be, to have led a good life, and he doesn't care if he's got to die. And I do wonder if Fuko knows that too now.
Yeah, I think you definitely read into him saying that line about living out your days toward a good and eventual end is what life's all about for a person who cannot die.
Mm. And then we get the conclusion, and then we go on another nice happy note with, Ishin or Haruka assuring Spring that no, her family doesn't hate Spring. They've always respected him and carried on his legacy.
Yeah.
And then you get that big 2-page spread at the end, which is also very lovely. So this is a great chapter from beginning to end, and it gives you a lot of different things. It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, this I think was a very sweet chapter. There's a lot of little details in it, and it really just plays to all of the strengths of Undead Unluck that I've seen. It's very creative, but it also really just flows in a cool, awesome way, and is a really great, satisfactory conclusion to this whole Spring saga, mini arc, whatever you'd want to call it.
Yeah. And I do have to wonder if I will still have no recollection of this next year.
If you didn't get One Piece 1000, there's no more games.
No guarantees at all. Oh, keep going.
Okay. Let's talk about Kaiju number 8 then, Nick. Okay. Let's talk about Kaiju number 8, chapter 53, no chapter title.
Yeah, well, because Kaiju doesn't do that. All right, so Kaiju number 9 absorbed Isao recently, and Narumi and Kafka are trying to fight him. Meanwhile, Kikoru is also there, and she's like, oh my god, the guy who killed my dad is right in front of me, but he completely outclassed me. I'm completely helpless in this situation. And so she's just crying with frustration over this, while the other two do the whole dash around really quickly fighting the thing that can't be hurt shonen fight thing. And they're slowly getting pushed back, even despite the fact that it's a 2-on-1 fight. Even when they trade blows, Kafka gets knocked backwards and Kaiju number 9 does not. But then he's like, all right, I'm going to go home now. But as Kafka number 9 starts to leave, suddenly his arm falls off. He's like,
Curious that.
So Narumi shouts out to Kafka not to let up the assault. And number 9, as the rest of his arm explodes off, goes, oh, the adverse effects of fusing are preventing me from hardening. It's so difficult when you combine with someone that can't get hard. So number 9 declares that number 8 is the main problem here, even as he takes a shot to the ribs. The ribs are fine, but not the flesh around them, I guess. And Kafka just shouts out saying he's not going to let Kaiju number 9 get away because this is all just too damn much. Which, I mean, it's weird wording. I understand the point. It's like, hey, you killed my friend's dad, and that dad also seemingly believed in me. So I'm really pissed off about that. But the exact word choice makes me go there's not a lot of really complex stuff that's going on here. It's really just that one thing.
Yeah, well, it's like the emotions of things are becoming too much. We had just finally become friends with whatever his name was and seemed to have earned his respect, and hey, it looks like we were about to become this super powerful fighting force or whatever, and now you've turned him into a monster.
Yep. So Kafka pushes the attack. Kaiju number 9 realizes as this is happening, no doubt about it, the last obstacle standing in my way is you, number 8. And he looks all ominous and scary in a big full-page spread. And then we back out and see that his entire body is slowly falling apart. So, okay. Narumi and Kafka go and try and finish him off. But number 9 just says, it's too bad. Neither of you will stop me. and his whole body goes click, whir, and there's like plates of skin and energy between them and stuff. And he says, "This will bring things to an end." And a shockwave goes out. I don't know what he does, but a shockwave goes out. And then Kikoru's back to her regular self too, because she shouts out Kafka Hibino, so she's fine. She's saying the whole name again.
It's such an annoying thing that she does. I don't know, I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it's like, why the whole name?
But number 9's and the aftermath of the explosion, number 9's legs fall off, but he's still got wings, so he's kind of hovering there, and he's like, all right, guess I'm at my limit. Almost lost the body I fought so hard to get. Oh no, Kafka and Narumi both withstood the huge shockwave. They're both fine and there. And they're like, say your prayers, you know good. And Kaiju number 9 just goes, right. I can do this. I should have done this from the start. Right. And he splits his head, and from each head gets set to launch a breath attack at Kikoru and the one scientist guy who was there to help out Isao. And now we know why the scientist guy was there. It was so this would happen.
So let
me tell you something.
We'd have emotions there, basically.
So let me tell you something. Grown very attached to Kikoru over the past year or so of Kaiju number 8. Wouldn't want anything bad to happen to her. You know who else I've grown very attached to? The scientist, whose name I don't know.
Oh. Scientoso. Yeah, I remember him.
So he launches the attacks, and Narumi and Kafka have to rush in order to protect them, because, I mean, I know Kikoru, couldn't really hurt Kaiju number 9, but I guess now she can't dodge either. So, all right. But number 9 is just, gloating while the attacks launch outward and says, "You're unable to abandon those who lie before you. Humans are such strange creatures. Goodbye, Kaiju number 8. The next time I make a move will mark the start of the Kaiju era." And as he says this last part, his face turns into Isao Shinomiya's, and he flies up while Narumi and Kafka shield Kikoru and Scientoso from the blasts. And that's the end of the chapter.
So I actually, I don't know why I had so much saliva in my mouth. I sound like an older. So I actually really like this one. I like this chapter. We were kind of noting it's going to take a little bit to get into this arc, or I just haven't been feeling it. This is the first time I was like, all right, I'm digging this. I'm liking this. Yes, it is a little silly that there wasn't a much emotional investment paid into this character, almost to the point where she's just been a random little girl that was about to get attacked or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because this character I know nothing about. But I do really like the aesthetic decision to say that, because we noted before, what the fuck is his name? Isao? Was that the dad's name?
Isao Shinomiya.
Yeah. Had a terrifying look to him. And then it's oh no, he's a good guy. So repurposing his good look to be this twisted evil visage that Kaiju number 9 uses, I think was a really good call, because it does make this character look intimidating when you see it just molds itself into maybe just an eye or takes his entire face over, and it looks pretty cool. Plus there's just something visually very cool about this fucking torso with wings flying away being catch you later, losers.
I do definitely like certain parts of this chapter. I appreciate that as we're getting down to the note of all right, Kaiju number 9 is living to fight another day and is going to be a longer term antagonist for this series, that we get that reminder of oh right, Kaiju number 9 is a fucking asshole, where he just goes oh yeah, I should do this, and does the really shitty thing, and it's nice to see that character shine through, as opposed to I'm big now and he just punches stuff. So
yeah,
there's that. There is also some cool artwork in this chapter. It's just that certain parts of the flow don't really click with me.
That's fair. That is fair.
Let's talk about Spy Family. Mission 58, Part 1. So we begin this chapter with Bond and Lloyd and Frankie in the park. Frankie is helping to coach Bond because Lloyd's training him to help to take down and immobilize suspects. And Frankie's got the big old sleeve, that they use to train dogs.
Mhm.
And Frankie's really not happy about having to do this. It's a good point. Lloyd, why don't you be the one who wears the sleeve thing?
Someone has to tell the dog to bite. All right, it's not gonna. It's a two-person job. Someone look. If I could, I would. Trust me. You're really the beneficiary in all this because this job, telling the dog to bite, sucks. What you're doing is kind of fun. You get to play with the dog a little bit. But hey, you know what? I'm willing to make that sacrifice for the team.
Don't you like playing with dogs? So this goes back and forth for a little bit, and then Lloyd says to Bond, "Given the state of things lately, we have to be ready for anything." And then he says, "That's enough of suppression and protection training. Let's move on to scent work and explosives detection." And Frankie's like, "Oh, I'm guessing you want me to be the terrorist who plants the bombs, right?" I mean, honestly, Frankie, you've known this guy for a long time. You should be used to knowing what he expects from you. But Bond looks kind of sad. And Lloyd's like, what's the matter? And Frankie points out, like, hey, you know how Bond was like some sort of weird, like, experimented on dog from like a rebel agency and stuff? Maybe, he has bad memories of the bad stuff that they made him do. Anyway, bye. And yeah, Bond's all upset because you just remember being scolded by mean scientist guys who were intent on taking down the government and stuff. So Lloyd's like, "All right, you want to go for a walk?" And they start going for a walk, and Bond gets distracted by stuff, and he sees a vision of the future. It's a little kid upset that his ice cream has fallen on the ground. So Bond looks around for the kid in the ice cream, and he gets this image instead of like, "Oh, I'll prevent the kid from losing his ice cream, and then Master will call me a good boy." So he goes and rushes towards the kid, who gets scared by the giant dog jumping towards him, and his ice cream falls on the ground, and he cries over the ice cream.
I want to specifically call out that Bond sees a division, the kid loses his ice cream, and the bullies that are there go, "2 scoops, more like 2 oops." And I really like that. That's like part of the traumatizing vision that Bond sees. Like, oh, 2 oops, that kid's never gonna live that down.
Well, it is his formative years, so yeah, he'll hold on to it forever.
Oh yeah.
Bond then sees a vision of an old person being hit by a cyclist who, I don't know, is blind, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I did.
Maybe they just misjudged the timing. They thought the person was walking faster or something.
I'm sure that senior citizen will just race out of my way. Oh, no!
What have I done? What have they done?
So Bond rushes out again, grabs the senior citizen by their jacket, and of course they're just like, "Hey, get off me!" But because of Bond's interference, the cyclist didn't hit them. Good boy, Bond. But Lloyd's upset.
But it wasn't immediately obvious that Bond stopping them stopped the cyclist from hitting them.
Yeah. So Lloyd's just like, "Oh, my dog." And Bond's just thinking like, "Oh, if Anya were here, she would know that I did good." I do love the probably completely accurate imagination spot of Anya saying, "Great job, Bond! You saved the future." It's like, that is probably exactly what she would say.
That does sound like a classic Anya move.
So Lloyd is, getting kind of pissed off, but mostly just pissed off at himself because he's like, I'm just not getting this dog, and it's just like I'm not getting Anya. So what's going on here? Bond gets an image of foresight of a pigeon pooping on her hat, but then he imagines like, "Oh, if I try and interfere though, then Lloyd will get upset at me and he'll send me back to the pound." So he shakes that off. But then he gets an image in his head of fire burning a building, and a woman being really upset about her Daisy being inside the building. So this Bond can't ignore. he barks and yanks at his leash to get Lloyd's attention and rushes off, and they go and find the burning building. And we do get a brief comment from someone who says, like, there's been a lot of fires lately, and a lot of people are saying that it's arson. Bond realizes that Daisy is in trouble, so he bites through his leash and rushes into the building. Lloyd is, of course, forced to pursue and is like, okay, maybe he smells something inside the building. He goes looking around. He comes across Bond, and Bond is yipping at something. So Lloyd, action kicks the beam that's going to hit Bond.
My dude fucking roundhouse kicks a flaming beam of wood. Just fucking chops that shit away with a kick. Like, I know it's a manga. I know it's like an action series. We've seen Lloyd do a bunch of crazy things. But really, just take into mind, a beam that holds up this fucking house, this fucking area just falls and it's on fire. And my dude just fucking hook kicks that shit away.
Well, what we don't see is afterward Lloyd going,
shin splint. I should have stretched first.
So after saving Bond, he looks down and sees that Bond has picked up a little puppy. The puppy's got a collar on that very obviously says Daisy.
I'm not a big softie when it comes to dogs. Like cats are like my thing. That is the cutest fucking dog. Like, look at that fucking little thing. Like, it's got its biggest, dumbest expression on its face. Like, hey, I was just about to burn to death. You saved me. Blap.
Is that it throwing up on you?
That or the tongue. I don't know. It's a very cute dog, and it was saved. Blap.
I think the thing that strikes me about it is you just get an idea of like how much bigger Bond is, because like the distance from his mouth to his collar is the same as the dog's entire length. So Lloyd is happy to see that Bond ran to the building for a good reason after all, and they go to escape, but oh no, more beams collapse in their way, and Bond is starting to panic, and Lloyd thinks to himself, I've got to keep him calm. What do? I need to think of something fast. And that's the end of the chapter. Big cliffhanger to end this chapter.
Yeah, this is a cute... I shouldn't say a cute chapter. It ends with 2 dogs in a burning building potentially about to die. But this was like a nice, very sweet chapter about Bond just wanting to be useful and feeling like he's misunderstood, even though all he wants to do is help. It's very sweet.
Now this is Mission 58 Part 1. So I wonder if it's just going to be less time until the next chapter of Spy Family, or if it's just going to be like, no, it's just, one story.
I think it'd be pretty metal if the next chapter doesn't address this at all. And like the next chapter is like Lloyd getting ready for a fancy.
They're just safe back home.
And well, like for a while, you're like, "Where the fuck's Bond? I haven't seen Bond in a while. What happened to Bond?" And eventually, he just shows up in the background of a panel scene like 70 chapters later. Like, oh, I guess Bond was fine. They really just left us out to dry for that.
All right,
Nick.
That's that for Spy Family. Yeah, it was a nice little chapter. It was nice to see Bond, like getting a little bit more time, considering that he didn't show up on the yacht.
Yes,
obviously. And yeah, the life of a dog who can see the future but never gets credit for saving anyone's ice cream.
Aww. All right, Nick. Let's move on from Bond to Butt by talking about Eden Zero, Chapter 173. Feather alighting. And the reason I say that is because it's the cover page. I don't know why. It's Homura's butt. And she's, I don't know, reaching for Dharma or something like that.
Yeah. She's putting like the crown on a Dharma or something like that.
Or taking
You know what?
I'm not sure.
Maybe what's going on here is we're supposed to like observe the urn in the background, and this will actually reveal something important about the lore of Eden Zero. And see, there's actually something very important going on here. You're not just supposed to be staring at her butt. This is the genius of Hero at work going on here.
It's one of those things where I try to pull it back sometimes because I'm like, maybe I go after Eden Zero too much for its horniness. And then there are moments where I'm just like, I don't even know what this shot's supposed to be. She's doing something, but it's butt fucking first into that camera. So you know what? I guess go for it. Anyway, we open as Hermit kind of goes over the plan. Hey, we're going to attack Planet Leonard. Eden Zero's going to go there.
Lendard.
It's Leonard in my mind. We've already established.
Lendard.
Eden Zero's going to attack it, and Elsie will join with her forces. We're going to do a joint attack. And her Hamora's like, we've never faced an enemy with such large forces. It's like, you attacked an empire just last start. Like, these can't possibly be as large as the entire army of a cosmos. I don't believe you, but okay.
Listen, the entire time that we have been fighting against Ziggy's forces, this is going to be the greatest amount of resistance that we have ever experienced in all of our battles, and all of the trips to the to the hairdresser that Clean and Jin skipped because look at Jin's hair.
We did see Jin's hair previously. We also see Clean in that page as well, and I was like, oh wow, Clean actually looks a lot different. She, theoretically has grown up a lot now in the past 3 years she spent on this battle vessel as a character who now has emotions again. And that is amplified by her wearing, I guess, like a skin-tight bodysuit that's half sheer or something like that.
Let's just call it a plug suit.
Yeah,
and,
something like
short,
that.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't I remember her looking this different before? I'm like, oh, right, because last time we were introduced to her was her in the bath. So it was impossible to discern anything about her at that point.
Couldn't tell how her clothes changed because she was naked. Yeah. Oh, hero, keeping all of your developments in the back pocket for us.
And then Mr. Krabs Gunner, he's like, oi, Master Buckles, I've already told you I be recently escaped from the planet Leonard. I be not going back there to that accursed place. Did serious I be. As captain of this ship, I order you to. And Sister's like, you're not our captain. You could just fucking leave if you want. Just fucking go.
You're like, immediately all done with him.
He's like, oh, heartless lads, the lot of ye. All of Kate's cosmos be already under Ziggy's control, and I be a fugitive. I could never shake off Ziggy's pursuers and a puny little starfighter. He goes.
It just immediately gets distracted by Pino.
Exactly. And they're like, yeah, but we heard you were like floating around in fucking space without a ship at all. So what does it matter? He's like, that was just good luck, essentially. Like, you're not going to take me to planet fucking Leonard. And they're like, all right, I guess we have to drop him off somewhere. So they're like, all right, I guess we will. And they kind of like lament that this is like an issue, but also simultaneously admit that this is not really like a difficult thing at all. They're like, oh, we'll have to recharge our energy drives. They're like, but those recharge pretty like easily. I guess this is just a slight inconvenience of our time. Boop, they're back at the Blue Garden. We get a panel showing how popular Rebecca is. As Weiss is like, yeah, we haven't been to this cosmos in ages. Wait a minute. And he thinks back to Xiao Mei. He's like, oh, we could have just asked her where Ziggy was all along. And Hermit pops up on a screen to be like, no, we can't. There's a plot reason for that. You can't just do that. Planet she's on teleports around and shit like that. She can't do it. It's not a plot hole. Shut up.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
It's still a plot hole. Because they were traveling around doing this for 3 years and they never thought to do this.
They just remembered it now. They're in that. Look, how many times would you possibly think, oh, yeah, remember that barefoot woman who told us about the future? Like, you'd have to be thinking about the future or see bare feet or be fighting and remember that giant tournament she had and her fighting fetish. None of those things are ever going to come up to possibly remind you of her.
You know, when I made that decision to abandon the planet, she appeared in like a vision to me. Did I tell you guys about that? No? All right.
Laguna rose up and is like, hey, because, Captain Connor is just like, good planet this is. Oh, I could live a safe, peaceful life here. And Laguna's like, hey, why were you working on Ziggy's planet? He's like, I didn't know it was Ziggy's planet when I worked there, you know? And he's like, no, I'm asking, what was a human doing on a place that builds robots automatically in the first place? And he's like, well, there's only so many jobs a human could do. and I was a captain from the Aoi Cosmos Freedom Force. And they're like, oh, you were fighting the Empire? It's like, yeah, the forces there were defeated by Nero and his armies. And I abandoned me ship before it sunk, and I can't help but wonder, could I say on my force, maybe I'd be flattering myself, but I'd like to think I'd make a difference. And he looks over, and Clean, Rebecca, and Hamura are just kind of talking about how popular Rebecca is.
Because she got chased by a bunch of fans a little bit ago.
Yeah,
so
she got chased by fans. So they're just commenting on that, noting, oh, it'd be even worse if Couchpo was there with us. Apparently, 3 years later, I know the kitchen can make just about anything, but Couchpo is still so obsessed with the kitchen she couldn't come on this mission. Like she's just like she didn't come. It's a kitchen that makes everything for you, by the way. I heard someone mention, they're like, oh, well, Couchboat cooks everything on the ship. It's like, no, she doesn't. She doesn't cook anything. The kitchen does everything. They have like an instant matter transporter. So 3 years later, she's still just as fucking
she's like the crew's unofficial chef, which means she's a freeloader.
And Connor, as he's observing this, says out loud, I had a daughter. If she were alive, she'd be right around the age of those lasses there. That's the exact wording you use. If she were alive. And Shiki repeats that. And he says, she left me soon after she were born. That be what inspired me to leave me ship. And Shiki's crying. He's like, I'll be your new daughter. And it's actually kind of a funny scene because Connor's like, wait, what's happening? He's like, think of me as your daughter, Dad.
And Connor's like, no, thank you.
Yeah, like, what do you? No. And Pino's like, it must be hard that she passed away so soon after she was born. And Connor's like, no, she don't be dead, I reckon. She left me, meaning me wife took off and left her and took her along.
You said if she were alive.
Yeah, you're like, what weirdly misleading wording otherwise.
What he should have said was, if she were still here,
yes,
or if she were still with me, or
like
if she were still around. Anything that's nebulous and not as very specific as if she were alive. Brackets, which I don't know if she's dead or not.
Second set of brackets, but I'm pretty sure she's alive, therefore confirmed a couple sentences later when I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure she's still alive. So he says, yeah, that's why I've been traveling from cosmos to cosmos, looking for me wife and daughter. Now here I be. And we cut over to with no follow-up to that, we cut over to the Adventurers Guild Shooting Starlight, where the secretary, or whatever she was, walks up and is like,
this character.
Hey, Rebecca, you're here. And
I always forget about how this character is like friends with Rebecca or something.
I forgot this character. If you had told me, you're like, yeah, there was another character in the guild, I'd be like, yeah, like Mirabelle or whatever the jerk character's name was. They're like, no,
right.
There was another character, and I'd be like, sure. Noah shows up and is like, good to see you all. And Shiki's like, you. And fucking Noah's like, are you still angry of that one incident why I maybe tried to sell Rebecca off into slavery? Can't you get over that?
Burp, 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 burp.
And they note like, oh, you're probably just angry because we're part of opposing organizations.
Raytheon Space Galactica is not an organization. It's not an organization.
I don't think
he didn't join it. He didn't sign a form or anything. They just said he's in Raytheon Space Galactica. And he was like, I guess I am.
Yeah, they're on different sides. They're like, yeah, all right. We dropped off Captain. I don't even know why they visit the guild. I'm trying to see if I missed a line. They came to his planet to drop off Captain Connor. Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry, they're asking the guild to take him in. Okay, there we go. I wanted to clarify that. I was like, why did they go to the guild if they were just dropping off Connor and leaving? Because now they're saying, all right, we've done what we needed to. Let's get off the planet. And that's when Hermit contacts them and says, hey, we have a problem. The Interstellar Union Army knows we came to this planet. And immediately Shiki's like, Noah, you ratted us out. Noah's like, no, I didn't. It's Feather from the Raytheon 6 Interstellar. She also has the same power as I do. the Eye of God ether gear that allows its user to observe people's locations. And we get a callback joke to Weiss doing the joke, hey, we could have just used that to figure out where Ziggy is. No, this also isn't a plot point because you can't find mechanical life forms, so it wouldn't have worked. I feel like there's ways around that, but all right. Anyways, they're like, hey, the Eden Zero is surrounded. We can't go anywhere. This like, what do you want to do, Captain? Chiki's like, they're not our enemy. Don't shoot them. In fact, we're gonna withstand their attack until then, and they're gonna send a bunch of people after you. So you gotta do something. And we get like an introduction to Feather from the ground up, so we can see her boobs from below. I don't know. It's not a good way to introduce a character for the first time, really, like in a full page spread or a full body spread. But whatever. Feather's like, they will emerge from the building soon. When you see them, shoot. And Shiki's like, all right, you know what? Knew this is going to happen after they gave me the title. What we're going to do is I'm going to lure them away. And while they're all distracted, you guys go. I'm going to be right behind you. And I don't know why this scene happens. They could have just said it a different way. Because Rebecca's like, no, we're a crew. We'll go back to the ship together. And it's not like Shiki was sacrificing himself.
He was just going to join up with them again later.
Yeah, but instead it's like, no, let's all run a marathon together. Even though 2 of our members are a fucking cat and like a baby robot who can't move as fast. Whatever. Let's all make a run for the ship, but don't kill anybody. And Feather ends the chapter by saying, I see it. You all are emerging together. And presumably this will be a chance to have all the characters show off all the cool new skills they have.
Yeah, presumably. Yep. Hey, Captain Connor is there. I hope that somehow he'll actually stick around because he is like a different and, entertaining kind of character. And he does actually, like provide like some potentially interesting plot leads. But the only thing I can think right now is that they left a lot of emphasis on the fact that he has a long separated daughter who is the same age as Homura and Rebecca and Clean, which means I'm just kind of like making bets with myself on which sexual fetish she'll fulfill when she does show up. So,
yeah, well, I'm trying to think. Do we know about Rebecca's parentage at all?
I can't remember.
Okay.
So.
I was like, I wonder if it's a character we've already met at this point.
I mean,
it seems unlikely to be Homura, and we know Clean's parents are dead.
Yep.
So I was like, do we know anything about Rebecca's family? Maybe it was her. I don't know. Anyways, I actually thought the chapter, for the most part, it was kind of fine. I kind of dug a little bit of it, but at the end, it was kind of there.
Yeah, it's fine. Yes, and yes, the secretary girl showed up again. So
as we all wanted,
when we have that Eden Zero character guessing, it's a valid choice if either of us can remember her name. All right. Ugh. Pardon me. Let's talk about Doron Dororon. Yes. So, I kind of read this chapter, but not really. So Dora and Kusanagi are visiting Genchio's home. They have been summoned to her home, and it's very big and extravagant, and it looks, like a big, fancy, like old Japanese style home. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're loaded. Who are you?" And she says, "Oh, my parents run a bunch of companies, and they, run like fine dining institutions, and they make like traditional Japanese desserts and stuff." And they're like, "Wait a minute. Your last name is Yagyu. Does your family own the Yagyudo brand?" And she's like, "Yeah." And Dora's like, "Oh my God, you make delicious dorayaki." And he says, "For the first time, I actually respect you." And I do love that Kinshio has to just say, I don't make them. I don't personally make these things. She also says that she lives in the home by herself with her attendants. So they go in, and Dora's looking around, and he spots a bunch of like crumbled up like fragments of stuff. And he's like, what are those? And this older woman appears and says, iron pillars, sir. I am Debuchi, a humble servant of the household. And she explains that Ginchio uses iron pillars for her samurai training. So she, slices through them and they knock over and go, I guess. She shred them apart. And also she knows about Kusanagi. So, okay.
Yeah.
But she also establishes the servants trust Ginchio-sama implicitly. She is diligent and highly principled. Please, I beseech you to help her. And Dora's like, okay. Ginchio calls them over. They go into her room, and she has many, many stuffed animals, and she starts kind of cuddling Kusanagi like one because she thinks he's cute.
Yeah. That's like, it's like the cool character trait she has is like, she's a cool character, but she likes stuffed animals.
Yep. And so Dora's like, all right, so why'd you call us over here? And she says, so I could pet Kuchan. And Dora's like, and she's like, just kidding. Because that's what she does. She'll say something, and then before the beat can entirely land, she'll contradict herself.
It is hard to tell that she's doing this joke because it's always done in the same panel. So usually the first time I read it, I don't pick up that she made the joke or something like that. Like I almost feel like I miss it sometimes.
There is a happy medium between this and the thing with Hatsume, where she says something and then contradicts herself 3 pages later, Anyway, she says that, this is like to just kind of like build trust. And also she has something to ask of Kusanagi. Why are you willing to vanquish Mononoke, your own species? And Kusanagi pauses and then explains that Mononoke are driven by much stronger desires than humans. You can never dissuade them with mere words. I couldn't save the first human friend I made. A Mononoke devoured them. And I don't want to experience that sadness again. And that's why I decided to rid the world of bad Mononoke.
A gruesome fucking image, because we could tell from the image it was a fucking child who was killed because there's a little hat and a little shoe.
Maybe it was a small person who likes wearing children's clothes.
They really like wearing like the small schoolboy hat, and they just happen to have like fucking children's shoes on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. You know what? This is better. It was probably like a 90-year-old guy who's like lived his whole life. He's like, I just wanted to experience my youth again. Clearing around this tiny little pair of shoes as I'm going to throw it up over my telephone pole to let people know that they can sell marijuana around here.
Hold on a second. I'm zooming in. Okay. Actually, I can see. Yes, there's a student ID there. It says that the kid was age 4. All right.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
Killed a 4-year-old. All right. So.
And it was probably delicious. Like, I don't want to say it, but we all kind of know, right? Like, it would have probably been a delicious, delicious meal.
Not to take away at all from this moment. Child dying, getting eaten, Ginchio is clearly, perturbed by this. She's like, oh my God, freaking, you're willing to kill your own species because they took your friend away. Shit. Dora says, yeah, when I heard that story earlier, it's like, hold on. don't you do this. It's like, yeah, I heard that story first. Don't be that guy.
I heard about the sound of the dead 4-year-old before you, so I'm already prepared for it. Like, what the fuck?
And he says, yeah, and when I heard that story, I was thinking about how dangerous those Mononoke desires are. Look at Kusanagi, stand to much larger enemies to protect people. Kusanagi's desire to make the world kinder and happier is truly unshakable. Okay. And then Kusanagi and Dora are like, yeah, it's our goal together. Yep. All right. But then Ginchio gets a call on her communicator thing, which looks like a child's radio, kind of thing. But she rides off on her motorcycle, which I guess she has. I don't think we've seen her on it at this point because I thought she would just kind of samurai hop around. But she's riding on a motorcycle, and Dora is riding behind her, and Kusanagi is his helmet. Fair enough. And she presses the point of like, hey, Kuchan, if you're going to help out, then don't let anyone see you transform, and I'll deliver the lethal blow and everything. Dora is like, oh, so that means that we're just going to be your support. But Ginchio says, "Yep, we're on official duty right now, so don't count on me to save you if you're in trouble. We're there to rescue, not to be rescued." Uh, and she smiles under her helmet when they say that they're ready. It's a kind of an odd looking shot because the way you can, it's hard to describe. The helmet hides her mouth, but then you can see through the helmet like iShield 21 style. But because her mouth just does the V thing when she smiles, it looks really weird, imposed over the image of the helmet.
Yeah.
Chest protector. Anyway, they also say that if they run into that if Ginchio runs into trouble, then they'll protect her. And she's like, "That's not going to happen." They park, and apparently the Mononoke fled in a certain direction, and Dora can't sense anything, but Ginchio can, and she dashes up a slope and runs after the Mononoke. And there's just a casual Cyclops just with people over his shoulders like, doot, 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 doot.
I'm just getting out of here. What a score. I'm going to eat all these kids.
Oh, God, my legs!
Oh, I need those.
But when Ginchio cuts through it, there's no resistance. And it turns out that the Cyclops was really a bunch of eyes that gathered together into a body formation thing. It's the Hyakume Kozo, the 100-eyed boy. And so they're like, "Oh, we're gonna get you, and Mash is gonna be angry and stuff." Ginchio flashes her blade in this like series of rapid slashes, but she can't get rid of all the eyes, and a bunch of them just fly away. And they're like, "We're just gonna regenerate. Bye. We're going over the river where you can't reach us." But then wind blows them back because Dora and Kusanagi are there, and Kusanagi's a fan. And they blow them back towards Ginchio, and Ginchio cuts the rest of the eyes down with her rapid slash hurricane flux attack. And that's the end of the chapter. It's actually pretty good. It's okay.
Was it? I mean,
It's okay.
I don't know. I'm having a real trouble like getting into this series. I don't care for Ginchio as like, I don't know. I just don't know what she is. I guess she's like the comedic relief. Even if I don't find her funny though, but the lead's so boring, I don't think of him as a straight man. Like there's no back and forth that really works at the moment.
Which is surprising because the entire point is that there is a human and a Mononoke who are working together in a partnership. So you'd think that there would be some form of double act involved, but their personalities are too similar to each other to really get a good like dynamic going.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that Ginchio is there to like make anything happen.
That is true. She is probably the most memorable character, but I just haven't been like, I want to be able to like this stuff, and I really just like, I want to like Ginchio, and I just find myself being kind of apathetic towards her.
I get that. And I will say that this is probably the best chapter of this series so far. And it was okay.
All right. So, chapter of the week, potentially.
No. It was the most okay chapter of the week.
Some would say Undead Unluck was pretty good, but did it have a giant fan in it?
Might have.
Shit, I think it did have a giant fan somewhere in there. Shit. All right. What about... Nah, never mind. Nick. I don't want to be sad, but I think I'm going to.
Okay.
Because we got to talk about Magu-chan.
So we were talking a little bit before we got on the call, and you said that you're pretty sure the series is ending soon.
Yeah, this is...
Is it just like the way that the story seems to be going, or is there anything else that makes you think that?
The series sales has been not great, and then it's been ranking pretty poorly, but them very like kind of out of nowhere being like, all right, here's the second Chaos God feels a bit like, all right, we gotta wrap this up. There is going to, yeah. Spoilers for a chapter we're about to talking about. It might not. I've been wrong before about this series. However, Kirby from our Discord, who is, I believe, Magu-chan's #1 fan, has lost faith. So I don't know. I'm banking on it. I feel like they have like the physical pulse on Magu-chan in a very special way. So I don't know.
Well, we'll get into it.
Yes.
Chapter 73 of Magu-chan, Eternal Peace. So we start off with Ruru's mom just asking her, "Hey, do you have any dreams for the future?" And she points out, "Hey, you're going to take entrance exams for high school soon. You're going to graduate, junior high. What do you want to do with your life?" And Ruru's like, "I mean, I've never really thought about it," because she's a kid. But she says, "Once I'm in high school, though, I want to get like a part-time job." And her mom's like, No. Beyond that, what do you want to do when you're 30? Answer me now, 13-year-old.
Let's get you a loan. Like, no.
But she says, "Hey, if you decide you want to do something, just let me know, because I want to support you however I can." And then she heads out because she's got to go to work. And Rue's, just kind of left to think to herself, like, what do I want to do in the future? And then she says, "Magu-chan, do you have any dreams for the future?"
"I do not dream. I keep my eye firmly on my ambitions."
Yeah, that's dreams, but okay. And then he brings up his amazing plan, which is still, to this day,
"I shall fill the Blood Oath's book with the names of lowly humans and rule the entire world."
And Ruru says, "I'm not sure if that's cute or creepy." I say it's cute. But then Magu very, very weirdly, kind of cheerfully smacks her on the cheek with his tentacle. It's like,
"I shall make any silly dream of yours a reality. Tell me your wish."
And Ruru still doesn't know what she wants, so he says, "Why not rule the world with me? I will give you half of it." Oh yeah, Ruru's just your minion. That's all, Magu, isn't it?
Yeah.
give her half the world. Come on, buddy. But Ruru's still not interested.
Maybe your half and my half could overlap a little bit, so we could hang out together in that area.
In fact, we should just make that where we currently live, so that neither of us have to.
That'll be the capital of the two halves we control.
Also, the Doctor store can be in both of our halves.
Also, the dog.
But not the dog's family. They have to be on your
side.
They
have to be on your side. We are splitting them up. The dog shall remain on my sword.
I do also like that when Ruru rejects the idea that they'll rule the world together, Magu gets upset.
He's like, oh.
So Ruru decides, okay, well, maybe I can ask everyone else at school what their dreams are. And Nabutaku is the first and most important person.
It's the one we want to hear about the most, so.
Yeah. "I want to have my own restaurant. I'll make a killing and control the world."
And the fucking boring-ass Ren's like, "I don't know, maybe become a public servant." Like, you fucking nerd. Let's go back and talk about Nabutaku and all the things that Nabutaku will cook.
"And there'll be dogs that you can pet."
Oh, in a restaurant saying that won't be a headache. Just dogs running about.
"And you'll all like the hair that gets in your food, because I will tell you to with my maddening roar."
Hermit crabs crawling from the ceiling tiles, delivering your food on tiny trays.
"None of them will have washed all the sea salt off at all. You'll just have to deal with it."
Aww.
Anyway, make me 5-star restaurant. Okay. Une says, not Une. Oh, fuck. What's her name? Is it? I forget her name. I always forget her name.
You got me. I don't.
It is
Cryptid girl.
Gula's partner girl. She says that she wants to be a researcher and identify unidentified species. Makes sense. Gula says, "I'm going to be a guide," which makes sense. Yuika says that she wants to work at a video game store or a candy store or become a superhero. Okay.
I hope she can accomplish all three. She's a superhero who daylights at a video game store, moonlights at a candy store, and I do not know when she fights crime. It doesn't seem to fit into her schedule at all.
I do like that it's basically just a little kid dream, and that's it. But hey, yeah, this did make me like her a little bit more because she's not one of my favorite characters. Like, hey, fuck it, she's fucking going for it.
Yeah.
And
then I related to Zonzige, who's like,
I don't want to cause trouble.
I don't want to be a bother. That's your aspiration in life. Like, oh, I don't want to trouble anybody. Don't worry about little old me.
Oh boy. Izuma says that he wants to become one of the 10 divine generals to be okay.
He'll be the sixth member of the 10.
5 openings.
He'll be the 6th member of the 10 divine generals.
A lot easier than becoming like the Elite Four in Pokemon, so.
You're like, God, I have to kill Bruno? This sucks.
Why him?
I mean, what, am I going to take out Lorelei? Oh, yeah, I guess I could just leave it for the old
They
lady.
did that. What happened to her between Kanto and Johto? We don't know.
Is it considered the same Elite Four?
Well, because Bruno is there.
Oh, never mind. I'm thinking Agatha. That's who I was thinking of. Agatha, I guess, could die any minute now.
Anyway, great fun thoughts. Pokemon. Yeah. But Sarah is also there, and she says that she wants to be her older brother's second in command. Oh, that's nice. So this doesn't really do anything to like answer Ruru's question though about her own question for herself. She's like, I don't know. It feels like it takes all that I am just to go to school every day, which, mood. But Ren and Naputuku are walking in the same direction as her and Magu-chan. And Ren says, look, you're being too hard on yourself. You've got it tough. You're on your own, and it's amazing how you're able to still apply yourself every day. And I don't think you have to rush to come up with anything. Even me and Oze are just kind of going through the motions right now. You'll figure it out eventually. Which, geez, Ren, when did you get, like, wise? Because every child in Ruru's position needs to hear this. It's just like, you're a kid. You don't need to figure it out right now. I know that there is a lot more pressure on Japanese students to have this stuff figured out at a younger age, because like high school is when you're supposed to actually already be starting off your plans for like further education and everything. But like, you don't know who you are at this age, like, so chill. Ruru brings up the point that, before, like, Ren was like, weren't you supposed to, like, run your family's restaurant when you grew up? And Ren's like, yeah, but now my older sister says she's going to do it, so no. But he also says, hey, maybe it's okay if you just keep your dreams for the future vague, like just wanting to live happy and healthy. And then a flag flies through the air in the wind and hits Magu in the face, and Naputuku laughs about it.
It's hysterical. It's the best joke. 10 out of 10 joke. I love it.
And Ren's like, like those guys are doing right now. Saruru says, yeah, you're right. I'm happy. I hope that in the future, this peaceful everyday life can continue. Aw, and that's the end of the chapter. No, it's not! It's a third done!
I like how your screen shook as you did it.
Well, that's because I hit the table and my camera.
It added power to your words.
Ah! So we start getting some narration as we get the last bits of this little sequence where Naputuku, because, Ruru's got to buy natto. I wonder why. And Naputuku is like, milk's on sale today! But he doesn't have any money left over from his paycheck. He doesn't get paid until tomorrow. Oh, no! And we get narration during this that says, in a quiet rural town somewhere, a superior being and a lowly human met, that their peaceful everyday life continues. If that is your wish, then. And I did get the feeling, I will say, before we got to the last notes of this narration, that it did feel like, is this just gonna be a kind of, and they had many more fun adventures together. It really did have that kind of feel, because it felt like it was kind of recapping and going back to the part we were at the beginning of the series. It's like, it's this quiet town, and we're just kind of getting this narration at this early point in the chapter. But something else is at work. And we do get like some last beats in this day, like Naputuku, being happy that he'll get paid tomorrow and stuff, and then the trash goes out tomorrow at Ruru and Magu's place, but Magu's just like, I'll just blow up the trash, but he blows a hole through the wall and he gets scolded for it. How many times has he done that to Brewer's poorhouse, honestly, at this
I had
point?
to assume they have like a deal with somebody or something like that.
Yeah, that's the mafia. So, but something happens because Magu has been left up in his scolding position over the night. But then, as time progresses to a certain point, he's on the floor instead. What's happening? And he seems to realize that something has happened. Meanwhile, Naputuko takes the trash out, and he's like, "Oh, got out in time!" But Ren and Rin's mom is like, "Why'd you take the trash outside a day early? Tomorrow's trash day." Naputuko's like, okay. By the way, it's payday! Give me my money!
Oh, look how fucking happy he is. He's going wee, and there's little, like, flowers around his head.
But she says, "You're so impatient. I don't have it ready yet. You get paid tomorrow." Ha! Oh no! The Naputuko's not getting paid? This is slave labor. What's going on?
I don't like this now.
On Ruru's way home, not home, but to school, she says to Magu, You're really restless. Why are you so distracted? What's going on?" And then she asks him, "What kind of dreams do you have for the future?" And then she asks everyone at school what dreams they have for the future, and they start to all say the same things that they did the day before. And Naputuku and Magu are very confused by this. One detail that I will note here is that we don't get specifically Zonzage and Gula reacting to any of this. And it seems to leave the door open potentially for just the gods to realize what has happened. But maybe they also realize something
I
has
would
gone wrong.
assume that based on them being in the same panel and not saying anything, like not adding their thoughts, they also are. But yeah, you are right. It does technically open the door up for them to be like, oh, it's only the ranked gods that are having this issue or whatever.
There's just enough room for interpretation there. Meanwhile, Uneris shows up in this chapter. We were doing so well. But she has a TV remote, and she has come to have a meeting with Muskar. And they basically like, "So you noticed it too, huh?" So they have sensed something. And the reason Muskar noticed it is because he has his Magu golem, and he says, "I taught him the Song of Chaos yesterday, but he doesn't remember any of it." Hard at work trying to get Magu to join your cult, huh, Mu?
Fix it.
Make him sing the song I taught him to. And Uneris is also upset because the morning drama series that she watches is airing the same episode as yesterday. So, they've got really big problems, these two.
Yeah.
But they both realize, well, you're not responsible for this. The only one capable of such a stunt is you-know-who. And I thought you were in charge of them, Muskar. Even I can sense their presence. Or Muskar says this. And Uneris says in response, well, you had gathered all the sealing gems, Nosukoshu, Zonzage, and Gula. You used spatial detection and ocean current manipulation to recover them. Before the Holy Knight's headquarters was completed, there was no choice but to sink them deep into the ocean as part of the sealing. Perhaps this anomaly is their work. The second pillar has manifested nearby and is distorting the flow of time. And we see that indeed, under the water, somewhere off the coast,
Under the
there's a
sea.
sealing gem. Yeah, that's probably what happened, actually. They were
Under
doing the big
the sea.
song.
Yeah.
And like a
Oh, like the octopus was playing the drums. He was like, bump, 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 and then hit the crest. Like, ooh, ooh. Just keep going. No one knows. He's playing like a fucking fishbone, like a xylophone.
I'm not talented enough at improv in order to make up a Magu-chan parody of Under the Sea. No, well.
We'll figure it out when we do the bonus pod radio
Yeah,
play. Magu-chan's other special Christmas.
And so this gem has cracked. We don't see the creature emerge yet, though. Just kind of some ominous black fluid coming out of the gem. So Uneris says to Muskar that they need to call a ceasefire because some shit's going down. On the way home from school, while Ren and Ruru are talking about shit. Naputuku says to Magu, "Has something about today seem off to you? The boy and young lady are saying the exact same things they said yesterday. And I was supposed to receive my wages today." Poor Naputuku. He's going to be broke forever.
Yes.
The same bag comes flying down the street, and Magu sidesteps it and goes, "Time is repeating itself," and the bag hits Naputuku instead.
I hate this now. I hate this. 0 out of 10 joke
Terrible.
is the worst. I feel like it's
Awful.
It's like the Dimitri Martin thing where he has like a graph and he's like, how farts are funny. And he's like, farts in church, really funny. Farts in my face, not funny at all. Goes off the charts. But farts in my brother's face, it skyrockets. It's off the chart. It's that funny. I was like, it's exactly. I was like, bags in Magu's face, hysterical. Bags in Naputuku's face, an actual crime that needs to be stopped.
It does actually look funnier when it hits Magu in the face. I think because of the way his tentacles come out. But anyway. So, yeah, Magu and Naputuku have realized what's going on, and Ruru again says, "I hope that in the future, this peaceful everyday life can continue." And Magu reminds her about the natto. She also is like, "Oh, milk's on sale today." And Magu's just like,
Do you not see what's going on here? Hey!
And Ruru's just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" They get home. Magu this time decides to throw the trash out instead of blowing a hole in the wall because he has learned. But the same thing happens at the end of the night. Time restarts. We cut over to the Fujisawa household, and Naputuku's like, "Boss, paid today." "No, you get paid tomorrow." Ah! He's in hell.
It's the worst. It's the actual worst.
And we are introduced to the new and final and second of the pillars, Yuppie Susu, the Eternal, the second pillar. He looks like a jellyfish, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know if we know a gender for the character yet or anything like that. But they look like some big old floating jellyfish who can, I guess, make every day Groundhog Day.
If they're a jellyfish, they probably don't have a gender at all.
Yeah. They just suck. They're just mean. They sting you.
Yeah. Trick people into peeing on each other.
Wait, does that not work?
I think it does. But anyway, he says in narration that I shall grant you all an eternal day, just as you wished. So there's a bit of a monkey paw at work because, Ruru just kind of wished that the carefree days could continue. And this was interpreted mean as like, okay, same day over and over and over again. Yay! It was actually a very good chapter in terms of how it introduced and set everything up. It was quite ominous as well. Kicked in. So
and hopefully we will be getting many, many more chapters.
Hold on.
Magu-chan.
I feel like we just read a chapter saying we shouldn't wish for such things without being very careful.
Every week we just keep talking about the same chapter, dreading like the idea like, oh, I hope it doesn't end. And we come back the next week like, oh, I don't know, Nick. Looks like it's going to end. Same chapter every week.
Not sure how I would feel about that if I ever actually understood that was going on.
Well, we're not chaos. Well, you're not a chaos god. So I don't think you'd ever pick up on it. Anyways, Dr. Stone.
C equals 224 in space. We get a montage to start this chapter of the rise of humanity. And then Senku studied science as a kid. And he did stuff in school. And then the petrification went off. Turned everyone to stone. Then everyone came back. And then they all worked together, inventing thing after thing after thing. And now we come to this point. Humanity's gonna make a comeback. You'll see. Until the day we're reading Ramen in Space again, you can count on it. Byakuya's prediction has come true. They're in space. Look at how big and terrifying it is.
Ah!
There's no guns here. Toriko lied to me.
We haven't found them yet. The space guns might be floating in a different area.
Senku wakes up. He is depetrified by the automatic timer. And so he puts clothes on because, he's a decent boy like that. And he's all alone. because Stanley and Kohaku are still petrified. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? Is something wrong with the watches? But he is contacted by Zeno. He says, I take it you're awake now. And Senku's like, this was your doing, Zeno. And he kind of smiles towards the radio device. I don't know if there is a camera set up anywhere. I don't think there is.
I think
though.
he just, like, it's meant to be he's smiling towards Zeno or whatever. But since fucking Senku's in space, he'd have to be, like, looking straight down or something like that. So it's just a way to be like, oh, he's looking up as though, emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Zeno says that he deliberately staggered the revivals just in case there was a problem because liquid doesn't flow the same way in space as it does on Earth. Fair enough. And Senku's like, could have mentioned that. But there's just kind of a beat, and Senku kind of realizes what's going on here. He's like, well, okay, fine. And Gen is also onto what has happened here. He's like, yeah, Zeno used to be friends with Byakuya and the astronauts because he worked with NASA and stuff. So he's giving Senku a moment in space to himself, a moment to weep freely. And we see, Senku just goes into one of the little viewing globes and just kind of stares out at space for a bit.
It's a very, very sweet moment.
Stanley revives next. He puts his clothes on, which means that Zeno forgot to give them the most important communication.
Take pictures of my naked boyfriend in space, please.
I mean, can't you just do that yourself? No!
I need you
This
to do
is
it.
science.
Get the
Do
lighting.
not question it.
Get the lighting right.
So Senku's like, you knew this was gonna happen, didn't you, Stanley? This is really creeping me out, having you old dudes doting on me. Such a weird sentence. But Stanley's just like, I'm just following orders, whatever.
Yeah.
So they drop it after that. They check on stuff. Zeno runs through some checks and everything. And he says, okay, yeah, there's more than enough oxygen now to wake up your other travel companion, if you so desire. And there's a weird look that gets exchanged between Stanley and Senku, and then they go and they wake up Kohaku, and she immediately presses her face into the glass and is like, oh my god, it's space! And she's like, look, no gravity! I'm lighter than ever. Yes. Senku gets away with calling her a lioness for once. And then he pulls out space ramen, which were prepared for them by Francois. Hooray! The Kohaku confirms it is tasty. And then Kohaku has a little moment to think, and she says, a few thousand years ago, your father ate like this, Senku. The same meal, the same outer space. Could the space station that Byakuya and his friends lived in still be floating around up here? Senku's like, oh, no. It burned up centuries ago. It fell back to Earth. But Senku says, hey, but forget all that. As we said, that old space station was also launched piecemeal into space so that the parts could dock once in orbit. And this time around, it's our creation that'll be combining in space. We've blasted away from our tiny world, from a stone world to a spacefaring civilization. And the first combined thing happens as the thing fits into their pod from space. Hooray! They're going to the moon.
Yeah. This is a good chapter. I like a lot of the little character moments. I even like the callback to hey, we're going to eat ramen in space. Whoa.
Yeah. It was a nice way to bring that back around.
Yeah. And I was truly surprised when they first showed Senku getting out of his spacesuit and it's like, oh, he's naked for a hot moment. I was like, oh god, please don't with Kohaku. And they didn't. Instead, the only full body shot of her we actually get is her in a kind of a weird outfit. It looks like she's wearing a tiger as a belt, but looks good. She looks happy.
I guess I think that it has. I don't know enough about space travel, but Senku is wearing one as well, so it must be just a thing for I don't know, harnesses or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
It might connect to something. Yeah. Good
but
stuff.
They're in space, and it was nice, and Senku got to be emotional for a little bit, And look at that giant 2-page spread of the stars. It's terrifying how huge an empty space is.
It can be, yeah.
Let's move on.
All right, Nick, let's talk about Mashle, Magic and Muscles, Chapter 91. Mash Burn Dead and the Magnetic Armor. So this time we have Rose Quartz, who's all angry, saying, "You're rubbish," just got himself punched. And he says, "I will never accept an idiotic clown like you." And his scar on his face erupts, and he has a third line. And he activates his Bankai, Adamus, god of magnetism, armored murder form, and gets a cool new suit of super magnet armor. He's like, sorry.
Adamus, in Greek mythology, was a Phrygian participant during the Trojan War, son of the Phrygian leader Aegeus, son of King Dymas and brother of Phenops. Okay.
Oh, okay. I like it. And he uses his new armor to punch Mashle in the face a bunch, because he can just shift his own pull and attract and repel his opponent at will. So his attacks will never miss, and Mash will never be able to hit him. It'll just be him pummeling him. We get basically a page of just that, just him be pummeled, as we get like long sort of angry narration from Rose Quartz saying, "You can't win against summons," which I guess is what they call the Bankais. Its power is next level. The magnetic force of this armor is several times greater than most magic. You'll never break it, and therefore you'll never defeat me. So stand there while I beat you to death. And Rose Quartz is thinking to herself, "I have to win. I have to. I don't care what it takes. I need to win. And we get a flashback, because it's time to understand who Rose Quartz is and get some backstory to him. And we see Rose Quartz was part of twin brothers, and their dad, kind of an asshole. We already know he's like the chief of the Bureau of Magic or something like that. And so it's like, "You two are poised to stand on top of this world. Use whatever means necessary to maintain your position at the very best." And Rose Quartz is like, "Yes, he was very controlling, and we, his twin sons, were practically destined to our top spot by birth. But we have to work ourselves to the bone to do everything, because we were put under this immense pressure. And I could never be the best because of my brother. He was better than me in every single way. And as a result, I face constant punishment. Every scar on my body deepened my hatred for him. I obsessed over how I could next topple him just to avoid the pain. But it turned out I didn't need to try that hard. After a time, the tables turned, and my brother wound up receiving the punishments once reserved for me. And he said to me, 'This is because I'm weak, but you're strong, so don't become like me, all right? Do it for the both of us.' And then he died." And even though I knew the truth that he'd lost for my sake, I was too scared to stand up to my father. I'm weak. That's the real reason I have to use anything and everything to keep winning. If you're not staying at the top, you get used, abused, and trampled on. If you can't win, then it's over for you. Winning's all that drives me. No one else's aspirations can even compare. Even bruised and bleeding, I'll use any means necessary. Anything, if it means I won't lose." And Mash punches the armor and explodes it by attacking at the exact same time, basically. So the two attacks collide and just starts exploding the armor. And Rose Quartz continues being like, "People like you disgust me, who talk about the world some wonderful place, but you're tough enough to make it work." Rose Quartz smiles, and Mash says thanks before he headbutts Rose Quartz and explodes the rest of his armor.
This is a nice little chapter. Getting our bit with Rose Quartz so that, we get used to the idea of him, becoming a good guy and helping out Mash in the future, it seems like. But honestly, given the stuff that we've gotten to see that Rose Quartz can do, I'd be kind of fine with that if he does, come back in the future, good aligned, even just like once, because, he's just got like a bunch of cool different things that he can do, and that's really about it. On the other hand, if he literally is just beaten and that's just it, goodbye, it's fine.
I think it's going to be the latter. I will say this. I do like this chapter. I love the art in this chapter. I think the art is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
That final shot is awesome. Mash does tend to fall into a pattern a lot, which is introduced to a bad new character. They give a gigantic speech about how Mash sucks and should die. And we get like their kind of one defining character thing that they kind of latch onto. Then we give them a sad backstory, and then they get beat. And that's kind of been the case for just about every major antagonist Mash has come up against that wasn't Innocent Zero or Cell War at this point. You know, Lord Abel, Abyss Razor, oh God, what was his name? Carpaccio Liu Yang. Like, all these characters got these like sad little bits added to their story to be like, oh, okay, maybe they were more misunderstood than I thought.
Fortunately, Margaret was just kind of cool.
Yeah, Margaret was just dope.
Margaret was just kind of eccentric, and that was it.
So yeah, good stuff. But I will note it is one of those things where I'm like, I guess I like the chapter more for like the interesting little bits I could pick up on. I guess this was the implication of why Rose Quartz has 2 wands. It's like, oh, the other wand I presume was his brother's wand, and I guess twins can use each other's magic like that.
Maybe. Might also have to do with the magnet aspect of it, in terms of like polarity opposites. So
potentially.
But yeah, I mean, there was some cool action in this, but I did get this sense when I was reading of like, yeah, Mash just, he wins, and that's I'm kind of used to just seeing that, and there's not anything that's super satisfying about the way that he wins this time. How does he do it? He punches hard. Okay. Let's move over to the Elusive Samurai, Chapter 45, Funny Faces, 1335. We get a flashback to start this off for the perspective of Yoritsugu, who is the grandson of Yorishige that we were introduced to last chapter. And the flashback starts with him getting cheek rubs from his grandfather, who's like, oh, doting on him and calling him cute and everything. And Yoritsugu narrates, until 2 years ago, I was destined to play a leading role in Suwa. And then he showed up. And it's when Tokiyuki was brought home by Yorishige to give him shelter after, all the Hojos were killed. Yoritsugu specifically avoided showing up during this. He just kind of watched the proceedings from afar. And now in the present, they're having a meeting. Yorishige, Tokiyuki, Yoritsugu, and Yoritsugu's father, Yorishige's son, Tokitsugu. And Yorishige explains that, like, so yeah, I'm going to be over time passing down my role as god of Suwa to my son, and we're also starting to give more duties to my grandson. And then Yorishige starts giving cheek rubs to Tokiyuki, and he looks like a Tasmanian devil, basically, while he does it, because he's moving he's doing the cheek rub so rapidly. And Yoritsugu's just really pissed off because, like, the cheek rub is more intense than the ones that I would get. And then Tokiyuki tries to leave, and Yorishige starts tickling him, and Yoritsugu goes, those tickles are more precise than the ones I got, which is troubling.
Why do you know this?
Yeah. So Yoritsugu's like, I have to free grandfather of his influence. So he kind of hops forward and deliberately bounces off of Tokiyuki's lap. And it's like, hey, I want us to be good friends. So you should be nice to me. And he like grabs his hand and clasps between his own. And Tokiyuki's like, what the fuck is this kid trying to do? He was kicking me earlier. What the hell? And then Yoritsugu whips himself backwards to make it look like Tokiyuki backhanded him. And immediately Yorishige's like, why'd you do that, Tokiyuki? He's like, no, he fell on his own. And
Everyone saw, you did it.
Yoritsugu goes, oh, and he was being mean to me earlier. Tokiyuki-sama hates me. When we met, he grabbed me and he said, I'm a Hojo. No one in Suwa is more important. Tomorrow we duel and the loser will be exiled. And that's what he said, and I accepted it through my tears. And Yoshige's just like, are you secretly a complete brute? You should apologize to him. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. And he also said, someday I will kill Yorishige for shining too bright and hurting my eyes. Okay, that last bit might be a little bit accurate, but
I think we all kind of want to kill Yorishige someday.
And he's like imagined as this fully adult, like demon-faced dude licking a sword. And Yorishige's like, how awful. apologize to me. The emphasis. And Tokiyuki's like, I would never say that. Who the hell even is that? In the last panel. Hey, fourth wall jokes. And Yoritsugu goes on, like, crying and smiling and saying, like, yeah, I'll accept, though. I'll even accept that if it comes to that. See you at the duel tomorrow. And while he leans in, he literally knees Tokiyuki in the calf. And then he leans in, and this is where this is written by the Nogami Neru guy. He leans in so close that his nose is squished up, and his lips are dragging along Tokiyuki's ear while he talks. And he's like, don't even think about running.
It's such a random thing.
So he leaves. Tokiyuki's left to just have to go like, it's so fucking weird. And Tokiyuki and his son, not Tokiyuki, Yorishika and his son go, you shouldn't bully younger children, Tokiyuki-sama. Yoritsugu can be naive at times. You have to be lenient with him. And Tokiyuki's just like, all right, you two, sit down.
You all know he was fucking with me, right? Like, yeah.
And he crushed my thigh. Like, yeah, we pretend not to see.
I was very glad to have avoided what is one of the most overblown cliches in media, because I mean, they'll do this plot in fucking the Brady Bunch or whatever. Like, it's everything will use this of just like, no, the kid was lying, and finally it's like one thing where like the kid leaves and the parents are like, yeah, we saw that. Oops, didn't want to say anything.
We just didn't want to call him out on it because it's just a kid, And we do get a much better explanation for their tolerance of this. Was just like, it just has to do with, the position that he is in as a kid. And Tokiyuki says, look, I do understand where he's coming from, why he resents me. I feel bad about that. But if you guys allow him to act this way, he's going to be a malicious god when he grows up. Which is a really good point. Yeah, you're preparing him for the position now. And if he's getting used to getting allowed to act a certain way, that's not going to be good when he actually shoulders all the responsibility. So they're apologetic, but they say, we feel guilty. He's still young, and due to our circumstances, he must assume a heavy burden. And so Tokiyuki understands, like, okay, I get it. This kid has all this pressure on him. He has to be a god. He has, he's just a kid who has that tremendous responsibility in his future. But Yorishige says, but you're right, though. He can't grow up like this. He might be feeling too attached to his role. And because, he closes himself off from others. And his display of hatred towards you shows his true feelings, which means this is an opportunity. Make sure this duel goes well and become a friend he can share his true feelings with. Tokiyuki's like, why do I have to handle this? I'm 9.
Why don't you guys handle? You're his fucking parents.
So he's like, all right, well, maybe I can do this. I'm sure our duel is just going to be a childish game. The entire fucking village has shown up to root on Yoritsugu. And so he's like, yeah, that's right, fucker, Tokiyuki. I'm a god. These people will listen to me. And guess what? We're going to play a game of tag, and you're it. And I'm going to run to that distant holy pillar over there. And if you don't catch me first before I can reach it, then I win. And then you pack your things and you leave. And Tokiyuki says, I just want us to get along. And, if we're playing tag, I'm way faster than you. Yoritsugu's like, go! And he runs off. Tokiyuki tries to chase after him, but suddenly, he has to duck. He has to do a sliding duck. And one of the shrine hands is just trying to attack him with a fucking branch. And he's like, I'm sorry. Yoritsugu-sama said I will suffer the wrath of the gods if I didn't stop you. And Yoritsugu's like, yes, they'll all do what I say. No human can contend with a god, Tokiyuki. Love this kid's faces.
Yeah, it's very exaggerated, and I like how all of like the shrine people just look so fucking done with it already. Like, I don't know. The kid said we had to beat you up with these. Please don't be angry.
Pretty sure one of the shrine maidens who's trying to stop Tokiyuki is the one he stood up for when, Sunamune shot her ear.
It might be, yeah.
But Tokiyuki, hey, you're having people try and stop him and chase after him. You done fucked up, kid, because he's getting happy and excited now. So, yeah.
I think it's a cool final page spread of him being like, perhaps I should teach this god a lesson. I shouldn't say spread, it's half a page, but yeah, it's a very cool image. And weirdly, I am enjoying this. Like, I hate this fucking little kid, but that's the point. And the
Yeah.
manga's not trying to make him look cool. He looks like the biggest fucking dork on every goddamn page, and it's avoided going with like the tropes of like, oh well, we're just gonna believe him because he's such a cute kid. Like the parents just like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. He's did not to say, but yeah, he's an asshole. We don't know what to do. We have too much pressure on our hands. We don't know how to discipline.
Yeah. I think that the chapter started off a little bit, because it does seem like it's going that direction. And then it subverts your expectations, and suddenly it ramps up and gets a lot better by the end of it. And then it's just like, yeah, we can just enjoy this kid being a little asshole and watching Tokiyuki get set to take him down a peg and hopefully make him a bit better of a person. At the end. I'm looking forward to that. So.
Absolutely. All right, Nick, let's jump over to Black Clover, page 318, The Presence of the Devil King. So Lucifero showed up, used his gravity magic to make everyone bow, and Asta and Sabretooth don't want to let that happen. So they're like, all right, we got to stop this guy. And Sabretooth's like, do you remember me? You're the one who killed Lachita. And
Lucifero says, but for me it was Tuesday.
Yeah, basically, just like, I don't remember. Anyway, Crush just uses gravity magic and slams him into the ground. Like, holy shit, his magic is astronomical. Everybody's going to need to. And Sabretooth's like, I want to take this guy down, no matter what it takes. So, boom, activate Devil Union. And Nature Boy Ric Flair is like, don't be stupid, Asta. Asta swings this big attack, uses magic tracking, and the new devil who showed up's like, wow, there's somebody who can move inside of Lucifero's power, and he has no magic to begin with. That's an odd one. And Asta's just like, it doesn't matter how incredible this guy's magic is. We'll take him down in 4 minutes of the Devil Union we've got left. Swings his sword, Lucifero grabs it, and Asta's like, what the fuck? Why won't it move? And we see Lucifero like reached a point where he's only touching the sword with his finger, and he's like, ooh, how dare you?
How dare you make me bleed my own blood?
Exactly. And just punches Asta in the face, which is so sad. I don't know if anyone has ever just punched Asta in his big stupid face before. Other devils, just like Lucifero's magic, is beyond amazing, and so is physical abilities, even if he's not complete. An ant can't beat an elephant, no matter how strong or weird it is. We see Vanessa, I think is her name, on the ground. She's saying, Rogue's powers have saved us barely, but we're out of magic now, and the captain's getting weaker and weaker. We managed to rescue him, but if this goes on, and boom, Asta's been sent straight into the ground. They're like, damn, all he's really done is kind of like... all he did was get closer, and it feels like we're being crushed. Lucifero has moved a little bit closer, and it's like, if he pays even the littlest bit of attention to us, we're finished. Just by existing, he forces all creation to its knees, people, spells, and even fate. So this is the power of the King of Devils. And Asta's like, shit, man, all he did was punch me, and my eyes can't even focus anymore. And then someone says, our little boy is working real hard over there. So let us play too. And all of the captains have shown up and can also all stand in this situation. So they're all here. The gang's all here, Nick.
Yeah, look, the great hero Jack the Ripper will save everyone.
Yeah.
So
it is interesting because like half this group have already gotten their shit pushed in on this arc. But I guess they're here to also fight now. So
look at Rill with his stupid, dopey fucking face, acting like there's no problem at all in the world back there.
Here's my thing. Rill's in the background of the shot. So I am very grateful.
He's smaller.
There was one, yeah, he's smaller is a big point. There was a point in time where I really thought Rill was going to be pushed as like the coolest member of the group, and it seems like even Tabata's like, I'll use him every so often. Yeah, fucking Dorothy Unsworth has a better spot in the splash page than he is. Yeah. Salamander has a better spot in the splash page than fucking Rill does, thankfully.
Yeah, it's a cool fucking looking dragon. Look at that dragon up there.
It's pretty dope. All right,
it's actually a pretty cool 2-page spread, honestly. Like everyone you get like a feel for everyone's different personalities. Although Dorothy seems kind of like oddly represented here, but whatever. So
well, she's the only one who really hasn't done anything this arc. I think they cut back to her fighting. I forget even who it was. She fought somebody and like didn't do anything really. So it's a chance to showcase her, I presume.
Mm.
I will say the arc or the chapter I think is pretty cool. I do like how they are building up Lucifero. He does seem like this terrifying thing. And again, I really love just seeing him punch Asta in the face. Like, it's pretty cool to see that, like how strong this person is.
I love the way he knocks Asta looping backwards in the follow-up shot.
Yeah.
So
I don't love necessarily all of the captains showing up to be like, we'll fight too, because it's supposed to be like, oh, he brings all of creation down to his knees, except for like captains. I mean, come on, they're too strong. Come on. But it's fine. That's Black Clover in a nutshell.
Yeah. And the thing I will continue to say about all this is I do like that new devil who's just watching stuff, because now I've entered that, that Homer kind of period. It was like, look, that guy hasn't done anything yet. It's going to be really cool.
When it happens, everyone's going to think it's so cool.
So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right. We'll close things out by setting sail for One Piece, Chapter 1036.
Yo.
Dreamin', Bushido is the way of death.
Now, Nick, do you think you'll...
Dreamin', don't give it up, Luffy. Dreamin', Bushido is the way of death. Dreamin'.
Do you think you'll remember where One Piece was at the start of next year?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm going to say that no every single year from now on. Just like, no confidence at all. So King has been defeated by Zoro, who fucking chopped his goddamn wing off and broke his sword. Shit. But we don't get the King's been defeated thing yet, because Zoro's got to be like, no. I got to make sure that he goes off the screen and I get the game thing from Smash Brothers before I stop and assume I won. King has a flashback as he falls after having absorbed Zoro's latest attack, to when apparently, early on in their time together, King was under the impression that Kaido was Joy Boy. Which Kaido thought apparently to be very funny, because like, is the world I'm creating really the one you wished for? But King says, legends are legends, that is all. No. I seek nothing from you anymore. My life belongs to you. Just continue to be the strongest there is. And I won't lose any fight either. I'll make you the king of the pirates. It's just like the promise that Zoro made that he wouldn't lose anymore after he lost to Mihawk. It's a little bit weird that we get introduced to this, aspect of King's personality just now, but whatever. So, but yeah, I guess they both made promises like that to their captains, and Zoro won. And Zoro repeats his proclamation from the end of last chapter. I guess I might as well become the king of hell. And he just launches another attack at King. He's like, nope, just making sure.
Boom, done. Yeah. I do kind of like boom, knocks him out by just like shooting him into the off of the fucking building.
So Zoro has won, and this is observed by the Spy Network guys. One of them reports King's been defeated. And the member of the CP0 who's just kind of hanging around is like, wow. So all the lead performers Toby are up are all down.
He's like,
this is a great state of affairs.
Only the best of the best would still be standing at this point. And Fukuro Koji.
And he points out, there are still 2 monsters in this battle who can render all of this valiant effort futile. And we'll check on the 2 of them fighting in just a little bit, right? So... But first we see Big Mom Steel attacking Law and Kid, and I do like that she's just like brought the metal that Kid summoned to life to attack them, so that's nice. And we get an establishment again of like, this is what's going on in the grander scope of things. Momonosuke is going to try and stop Onigashima from falling onto the flower capital. Yamato is trying to stop the burning hatred giant fire spear thing from blowing up the armory. And Yamato has made his way to the door to the basement armory, which is being guarded by Numbers Rocky. What can Rocky do? Get gored. That's the
thing. I was like, because I've heard some people say this when they refer to this chapter. I don't know what the thing, like the person fucking with Yamato is. I was like, was this a person I was supposed to remember? The fucking centaur bull person?
Yamato basically just got him to come along with him by saying, "Hey, Fuga, I need your help. Come with me." Like a couple chapters ago. That's really it. Apparently,
and I guess Fuga just
Fuga likes
says, it's like a Pokemon, just says Fuga over and over again.
evidently.
Okay.
But
One
yeah,
of the numbers? I don't know. Sure.
he stampedes into Rocky and bashes through the door into the armory. And Yamato just says, "Thanks, Fuga. Keep down Rocky for me." And that happens. We then cut over to where Usopp is. Usopp desperately trying to defend Kinemon and Kiku as a bunch of goobers come and try and, pick the corpses because they're still both bleeding out. And Usopp is, using all of his different tricks to try and keep them at bay while they all approach. And Usopp is crying, like, no, stop, go away. Kinemon and Kiku both try to be all noble and stuff, saying, "Oh no, leave me, take Kiku," and Kiku be like, "No, I'm done for." And Usopp's like, "Oh, cool, I'll leave you both and save my own skin." Nope. No, wait, no. Why did I even bother coming to help you if I want to just do that? No. And then he just starts berating them and says, like, "Will you guys stop trying to be all like honorable in death and stuff? What use is your pride? Taking responsibility through harakiri. I am not a fan of this culture of yours." But he says, "I cling to life with snot running from my nose if I have to. I don't care if it looks pathetic. I survive. It's what I do, and it's the entire reason I'm standing here alive today. Why are you idiots so satisfied with pulling off your raid?" But he's at his limits. There's too many of these assholes. But the day is saved. Izo is here. Hooray! Izo's here to save his buddies. Let's just call that. I didn't know the name first. So. And then Kiku tries to get all melodramatic, be like, "Oh, brother, I fear." And Izo's like, "Okay, come on. We'll have plenty of time to talk later. Focus on your survival. If you truly believe in Straw Hat Luffy, that is." And he asks for Usopp to take them off to safety. Hamlet helps out too. Thanks, Hamlet.
Hamlet's doing yeoman's work.
Meanwhile, Raizo and Fukurokuju have simultaneously cast paralysis jutsu on each other, and they're just staring at each other, not moving.
It's infuriating because it is a kind of funny concept, and Raizo actually has a cool line because they're both in this room that's on fire, and they're both like not releasing their jutsu, and Raizo has caught fire first, so it's like, "Oh, you're gonna lose this," and Raizo says, "I'm a vassal of Lord Orton. You call this heat? I don't even feel it." It is a cool line. This is undoubtedly one of the dumbest and most infuriating parts of this chapter, though, because I'm just like, we are being told there was probably a pretty sweet, awesome fight going on here between these two characters, and it happened off screen, and now we have the fucking Metapod versus Metapod fight going on.
I was literally just going to reference Metapod v Metapod. Harder, you're the better Metapod. Oh, boy. We cut to where Orochi has completely fallen for the charms of Komurasaki. Although he is saying to himself, like, where the fuck is Fukurokuju? He was supposed to get back to me so we could get the hell out of here before the island blows up. So he asks of Komurasaki to play that song for me, the one I love. And Hiyori just says, "Of course." Also, okay, this is funnier to me than the Fukurokuju versus Raizo thing. So, people are running away because CP0's too strong. And Apu is running away too. And he has abandoned X-Drake, who got his ass beat off panel. Although, I guess they say, that took longer than expected. He was tough. Sure. Mm-hmm.
X-Drake was very, very powerful.
So strong. He had a Bankai and everything. It's just, They then observe the fact that Apu got away, and then they reiterate, okay, we're here to capture Nico Robin. We got interrupted, and we've got to hurry and do this because we got to get out of this castle because the lead performers are down. And if the new generation should actually win this battle, it would be massive news. The impact will feed the flames of the incidents occurring all over the world as we speak. What happens over the next several minutes will set the course for the times to come. But don't you think they've already hit the limit of what human beings can achieve? And on the roof of the dome, Luffy is fighting with Kaido, and I do like this bit that he keeps on trying to use his gum attacks, and he just has to eat mace attacks while he's trying to use them for a little bit before he can actually finally land a blow. And he manages to land a nice big rock gun to the cheek and knock Kaido briefly on his ass. And then afterwards, because Luffy also falls to the ground, the two of them both get up. They're both laughing. And Luffy says, "I'm having fun now." And Kaido's got a big grin on his face, and he says, "So am I." And that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a pretty cool end of the chapter, and there are bits of this chapter I do like a lot. I am a little bit annoyed that we got all of the cool details about King, as you mentioned, after he's kind of been defeated, and the weight of having this Zoro kind of the lieutenant to the potential pirate king kind of, I promise to never lose for you, like, mirror match emotion wasn't there because we didn't know these details about King until the chapter he was defeated, and then the chapter after he was defeated, essentially. So that was a little bit weird, but I really liked Usopp's speech. I did, as I said, I enjoyed that line from Raizo, even if it was a little bit annoying. I like the CP0 doing something and just beating up X-Drake is kind of funny. And the end was really cool. So, like, there's parts of this chapter I really, really like, but there are frustrating parts where you're like, there are too many things currently going on, because we touched on all of them, and you're just like, fuck, I forgot how many goddamn, like, when fucking Izo shows up, you're like, I forgot fucking Izo's even here. God damn it, there are way too many goddamn members of the Scabbards. I guess technically Izo's not a Scabbard, but kind of is. You know, I don't want to get into it.
Right. So I'm fairly sure, I'm like 80% sure, that Wano is going to end this year.
Oh man, if it doesn't, I'll be furious.
But that being said, it does seem like we're still a few months away, just because we were reminded, like, hey, here's another little plot thread. Here's another little plot thread. Here's another little plot thread. And then, of course, once all that's over, then we're going to have to do all the wrap up and everything. So we're still going to be here for a little while. But hopefully we get, some more like big satisfying stuff that happens to help us carry through it and make this big important plot arc feel like, it comes to a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. All right, let's wrap this up.
Yes. Favorite chapter, MVP of the week. Let's go.
My favorite chapter is going to be Doron Dororon, because it was pretty cool. Character out of V-Mouth. It's pretty sweet. Put that in the little infographic, Ninja.
Do it.
No, it's going to be Undead Unluck. Undead Unluck was like one of those chapters, like, after you read it, you're almost just like it feels hokey, but like, this is art. But it's one of those things where you're like, this was fucking, like, amazing and deeply emotional and just worked on so many levels, and is like a culmination. It feels unfair because I feel like if you just track Undead Unluck for like the past 3 months, it's either character of the week or MVP like 3 months running or something like that. But it's fucking great.
Look, if it's the best series going consistently for a while, then it's the best series going consistently for a while. That's just it. It's my favorite series of this week, too. This was an amazing chapter. We've already been over it in great detail multiple times about how good it is in so many different aspects. It's head and shoulders above everything else this week because of just how good it was. It's not like there were a bunch of bad chapters this week. No. I do want to say that. But there was a bunch of stuff that was, pretty good. But this was the one that was... If I do remember one thing from this at the start of next year, I do hope it's this chapter because it was really good.
My MVP is going to be Bond from Spy Family. I really, really thought Bond was like just a cute little. Look at him. He's a cute little dude. Just wants to do good.
Trying so hard to be helpful.
Yeah.
To be a good boy. Mine is mine's gonna be, I believe, Yoritsugi, because he has some amazing faces in this chapter.
All right. I like that.
Once you hit that point of like this kid's supposed to be an annoying little shit, then you get into him just being really over the top. I'm a god, and he's really just a shitty little kid. Then yeah, I thought he was very memorable and funny in this. So
absolutely. I should note the audience agreed with us on Undead Unluck and then agreed with me as Bond for the MVP. So
can't fight the dog, I guess.
Can't fight that dog. Look at that good ass dog. Yeah, good ass dog just doesn't have the same ring to it. Good ass cat. Let's see them good ass cats, everybody. I've been thinking, I was like, if we ever do a t-shirt, I just want it to be the good ass cat t-shirt so I can have one. That's gonna do it.
Yeah, that is gonna do it. Thank you everyone for joining us for Weekly Manga Recap. We record the show here on twitch.tv/RoloT Wednesday evenings, starting around 7:30 Eastern time. But to stay up to date on exactly when we go live, you can follow us on social media. On Twitter, we are at WMR Podcast, and your hosts are at RoloT and at Nick F. Time. You can also join our Discord server, where not only will we notify you when the stream goes live, but we also have all sorts of other things, like a channel for discussing the series that we recap, one for the recommendation that we're currently looking into, and then we have, like our community does bi-weekly games, and there's all sorts of other fun stuff on there.
Oh, yeah. There's tons of stuff. There's tons of stuff in there.
You can go in the VTuber chat if you feel like it.
I don't know what happens in there. I truly have to trust everybody that they're not like pirating movies in there or something like that, because I refuse to go in and check.
Very strictly modded Discord
community. Everything
community.
else is that channel. I let them do their own devices. They could be using it. Could be a giant money laundering scheme. I would not know. I've muted it. I don't know. They tried to trick me. They said it so it would still notify me, and I eventually had to go in and change that. So now I don't even know if you at me in that channel anymore. It's just like you could just have it. I'm glad you enjoy these things. I don't get it. I want to stay away.
You can also use the Discord to find the Google spreadsheet that is maintained by Ninja X3i. We just had all of the superlative. I was looking for the word and had it to stumble over like 4 different S words before I got to the right one in my mental dictionary. And you can go in there and take part in all that stuff. You can look up all the series that we've covered previously, add your vote to something that we might cover in the future. Look up, who has been the MVP and favorite series going back to when we first started doing that several years ago. All sorts of great stuff. And we would not be able to keep track of it if Ninja X3i didn't do it for us. So thank you for that. And thank you to everyone else who makes the podcast what it is. People who support us on patreon.com/weekly manga recap, where you can listen to Chris talk about monthly other recap, all the series that are in Jump, but that we don't currently cover on the podcast, but that they might make me read soon again. One of them, who knows? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
And in addition to that, there's other stuff that we do regularly on there. To all you guys who support us and help us create bonus content for you guys to enjoy. I just want to extend special thanks to Steve Mann, our target artist. You can check out some of the work that he has done for us on our YouTube channel, where the video versions of our stuff goes. YouTube.com/Weekly Manga Recap. The audio version can be found at weeklymangarecap.podbean.com, as well as anywhere the podcast can generally be listened to, like Spotify and iTunes and all those other services and stuff. And of course, Milo Jack Stillitz and Wesley Trader created the opening sequence for those video versions that you can see on our YouTube.
Indeed. Well, I guess, Nick, that is going to wrap it up then, right?
Yes! Isn't it? I guess. Wait.
Or is it, Nick?
No, you're not. Hold on.
Next week, Nick.
Hold on.
January 12th.
Hold Hold on.
The veto is cashed in.
Okay.